Well, hello everybody, it's G-Bear with another episode of Homesteading the Desert out here in the upper California desert. And I wanted to show you, I did a little bit of work today. Yep, I was framed. Anyway, look at the work I did. And you see these slanted pieces, those are because it started off the day with no wind. Well, 1 to 2 miles per hour. And all the way up until lunchtime, when I had most of the framing done already, it was beautiful. I sat down, took a break, had a couple of bottles of water, and then all of a sudden the wind started picking up, and it's gusting at about 21, 22 miles an hour right now. So I had to put those supports in there temporarily to hold everything together, because everything is plumb, square, and level. It's perfect. And when I start putting wood on here, the wood is going to line up perfectly. Let me get down here and show you some of the things I talked about earlier on this. And this is what I was talking about, where I put a double stud sideways, and in between I have a single stud in the proper direction and fastened at the bottom. And I do that every 4 feet. So this is the first 4 feet coming off the wall on center. And then this would be, by the window, would be the second 4 feet. Then the third 4 feet would be over there, and the last one would be to the end. And the reason I do this is it gives me a 4x4 support for more structural strength. And also, when I'm putting that siding on, that siding is shiplapped on the end. So you have one piece that overlaps the other. And shooting screws in there, you can see when I put them in on over there, sometimes you miss a stud when it's this way. So I changed my design and I went to putting them this way. So now the seam will be down the center of this, and if it's off a little bit, it doesn't matter. I've got 3 5/8 inches to deal with, so I can get a good set of fasteners in there. And then when I put my stringer boards over the top of the seams, that will have something for me to actually screw the board into other than just the siding. So it'll actually be biting in the studs too. And there's always a space in between here, so I can still run my wiring without having to drill and so forth and so on. Sometimes I put little leftover pieces like this in between, especially around windows and stuff, and that really binds it together, and I'll shoot screws in that before I'm done, but I don't do that until I'm all done, and whatever scrap I have left over, like here, I'll put those pieces in there to give me a little extra strength. All right, bathroom layout. I've got the bathroom laid out here. I started putting the false wall in there, and well, it's pretty much, the false wall is done. I have to go pick up a couple more studs, and I'm going to continue that piece all the way across, but I have to put those are 2x3s. I'm going to put a 2x4 plate on top of that, upside down, so that it overhangs into the room, and that gives me something to fasten my drywall to along the edge there when I'm putting my ceiling up. So the 2-foot centers on these. Now the trusses are going to go on there too, and those are the trusses giving my ceiling joists. So the ceiling joist will be right across and on top of each one of those studs. Dead center here, I put an upside down channel. There will be a truss dead center on top of that, and it'll be fastened together with screws for extra strength. And that's right in the center of the room. So I will have a main support going straight up to the peak of the roof at that point, giving me that extra strength and rigidity. This window is in on this side. That's the 2x2 that I told you about. This is a 3x2 on this side. So the head of my bed will be up on this wall, and my feet, the bed will come out about even with the bathroom wall. So I'll still have a 3-foot aisle to walk there. I'll have 30 inches on each side of the bed, and then I'll have closet space right here in this corner. So everything works out. Now I didn't put in these studs. They're just laying there in place right now because I haven't found the door I want to use yet. So I don't know if I'm going to get a 36-inch door, a 32-inch door, a 30-inch door, whatever. I'm going to look for the best buy I can find, and then that'll determine where those go. And those will be doubled ups. But I need to get more studs because I'm using some for supports here, and I can't put those in. There's another one that goes on the back side here, because this is the sideways 2x4. That would be where my 4x4 support would be, 4 feet off the wall. And of course I got my temporary wiring running through here and so forth and so on. So I've got to start dealing with getting the wiring done after I get this thing framed. And I can get 4 sheets of siding, actually 5 sheets, and come around the corner up to halfway on that set of 4x4 right there. And that would block the wind side. So then I can actually comfortably work in here even if the wind is blowing. It won't bother me. And I'll be able to start hanging some wiring with lighting in here, and I'll pull off the wiring on the other side. I've got to open up and get my plumbing connections there. So tomorrow I'm going into town, and I'm going to get a few more items that I need at the Home Depot, and check my mail, that kind of stuff. But I'll also pick up a piece of green board, which I'll cut down the center at 2 feet by 8 foot long. And then I'll put my first piece around the back of the tub and around the back side of the sink over there. And then the little leftover piece will come up to whatever the stud point here is at 4 feet. So that's my wet location around the tub. I want to have green board on that. I won't have to worry about above that. I could use regular drywall, and on the ceilings, I'll probably use that styrofoam that I used on the ceiling in the main cabin. If you remember that old video, I was freezing in there until I put that styrofoam ceiling in, and boy, did it get warm in there. And just a pilot light in the wall heater was keeping me warm. The gas line is here, so I can put a full-size wall heater on this side with a thermostat, so I'll have that set up in the bedroom. And then underneath this window right here, I'm going to be adding another piece like this underneath there to where the window air conditioner will fit right underneath that window. That's the one that's temporarily installed in the main cabin now on the front porch. But that's going to be built right through the wall right there. So I'll have electricity right below just for running that. That'll come off its own breaker. And then on the other side, I'll have an outlet in that wall. I'll have 2 outlets in this wall. And then I have the air conditioning outlet on that side. When I'm not using the air conditioner, I can unplug it and use that outlet for a vacuum cleaner or whatever if I have to. Then I'm going to have 3-way switches in the hallway with a single dome light up in the ceiling part of it. So I can turn a switch on from that corner over there coming into the hallway. And then when I get into the bedroom, I can turn the bedroom light on and shut the hallway light off, which other switches will be right in this wall right here. So that works out better there. And then the bedroom light will also be, our bedroom light switch will also be a 3-way. And then just inside the door, on this side of the door, because the door is going to open in this way, I'll have another switch there. So if I come in the back door, there's a light switch there. I can flip it on and get light in the bedroom here. All right. So did you think I did anything? Let's move on. Here's the truss. Now, I was asked to make sure I showed how I do trusses. Okay. Now this, like I said, I'm only having a 1-foot rise on here because we don't get really super heavy duty snow out here. I don't need much of a slope on my roof. And that's why I have that slight slope there. This one is going to have the same slope coming up and going down. And you'll see my rafter tail over here is at 6 inches. And this one over here is at 15 5/8. The reason for that, and I know somebody will ask, is because this whole piece right there, that whole rafter piece, is one whole piece, just like this one, and it's 12 feet. from end to end, 12 feet. Okay, so that means 3 sheets of plywood will cover at 4 foot, 4 foot, and 4 foot. 3 sheets of plywood running lengthways along the roof will cover all of the rafter. If I cut it off, that means I got to do an extra cut on all of my plywood. Why do that? So I can have the plywood all cut to size right at Home Depot on their big panel saw. And then when I come here, all I do is lay the sheets down and start shooting screws into them. All right, these are the pintons here I was telling you about that give me extra support. So the distance of span now is from the center point here down to basically right here. And that's right in the middle of it. So I have a left and a right. And what I do to make it easier is I make an extra one of each when I'm doing the first one. And those are my templates. Then I also do that with the other rafter here. So that rafter now, or that truss, the top part of the truss, that's my template. And I've got it all marked out where all of the cuts have to be. So now I can just start grabbing those, lay it on top of there, mark it all out, and then I do my cuts. And I do all my cuts with a little 4-inch grinder with a metal cutting wheel on it. This is the one I started with brand new this morning, and I did all of this framing, and I still have some cuts coming out of that one, but I got my new one sitting here just waiting to go on as soon as I need to put it on. And that makes it real fast and easy for cutting. If you're going to work with these for the first time, I recommend you wear gloves because these metal pieces are sharp. I've been doing it so long, I kind of I know where to grab them so I don't get anywhere near the sharp edges of them. And so every now and then I get a little scrape or a scratch, but not on my hands. My hands are always working fine, and I don't like wearing gloves when I'm doing intricate work like this because they get in the way. Anyway, there's my truss, and this is the first one that's going to go up there against the existing rafter and come back down on this side. And the longer overhang will be on this front side of the cabin. So it's not gonna make much of a difference, but I'm also gonna put ventilation in my eaves so that I can suck the cooler air up into there. And then I'm gonna have a gable vent on this end above the unit, because I'm not gonna do an overhang on this side with the rafters. It's just gonna stick out the thickness of one rafter, which is basically 1.5 inches, and be capped with one of the channels so that there won't be any holes in it. And then that's going to be just the end of the roof. Then above my door here, I'm going to put a little awning on there so if it's raining, I can step out, and I'll have 2 support posts anchored onto my little step there. That'll be holding up the cover so that the wind won't blow it away. Speaking of the wind, it's going to make it hard for me to shower, but as you can see, my hands are filthy. I have no choice. I'm getting into that shower. I'll just have to run around in circles to stay under the water. All right. You can see the turbine up there is really kicking out, but I haven't had time to put the rectifier on there. I'm going to answer a bunch of comments that I had on the rectifier. That buying those does not mean that I think that turbine is okay or not. The reason I bought those is to prove whether or not the guy that sold me that was selling me a line of crap, or if that thing actually does put out 400 watts. He said it was a 400 watt unit. I don't think it's ever produced 400 watts, so we'll find out when I do hook up that equipment. That's going to tell me exactly what the output on that thing is. All right, also, the trailer, yes, it's still over there. I can see it from my bedroom window. It's right about there, about 1/4 mile away. I can just see the top of it from where I'm standing here. But yes, that is still here also. All right. That's all there is for today, people. And I will be kicking butt again tomorrow if the wind isn't blowing. Oh yeah, one other thing is I was going to cut just a small passageway through there, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all the way up to the ceiling height of the other cabin and just follow that ceiling height through, so that the heat that's from the both the heater in the bedroom and the heater in the main cabin, which will be the kitchen dining area, will all be a shared unit. Because to start off with, because I'm here by myself and I don't have to worry about privacy too much, the bathroom will not have a door on it yet. I'll save money on that. The bedroom will not have a door on it yet. I'll save money on that. It's just me walking through anyway, so what the heck. Important that I do get this door, and I couldn't find a decent price transom window. It was more expensive than that window for that little 1 foot by 2 foot window up there, or 1 foot by 3 foot. I said to heck with that. So I'm just going to put a 12-volt exhaust fan in the ceiling to take the exhaust out. And I think that should suffice. And I already have that fan in the container, so it's just putting some pipe in or some ducting in and ducting it to the outside, and I'll be fine. I'm also going to have to take off those little bug covers I put on that rafter going up to the center. The first 3 of them on the right there all have to come off, because I'm going to be fastening this truss up there probably tomorrow and getting the first truss in place. And then my ridge beam is this flashing right here. As you can see, I've got 2 pieces here, and that will extend the whole length across the top of all of those trusses and lock them all together at the top. And then on the sides, on the end of the rafter tails, I'll have channel running all the way along those, like I did on the main cabin. You can't see it with the gutter on there, but yeah, there's a channel that runs the whole distance there. I'll be doing that same thing on both sides of this, and then I'll be doing the eave covers underneath so critters don't build nests up underneath there, and that'll seal me all off. G Bear, signing off.